And welcome back to Glitter Budget with your hosts, Anjanette.
And Jess.
And in today's episode, we are doing the movie 28 Days, which is much, much lighter than our last movie that we highlighted.
Yes.
So don't have to be all depressed.
No.
Yeah, we're continuing movies that highlight mental health awareness and addiction recovery. So this was on addiction recovery, 28 Days, based on... I think it's an actual story. No, I'm making lies up.
As far as I know, I don't think it is. It was directed by Betty Thomas and written by Susanna Grant, starring Sandra Bullock and
Viggo Mortensen, Dominic West, Alan Tudyk, and Steve Buscemi.
Yes. But to my knowledge, I don't think it was based off of anyone's specific experience. I know Sandra Bullock had spent some time in a rehab facility.
I think that's why I was getting confused. And also Girl Interrupted, which that was actually based on.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this movie is not to be confused with the zombie movie 28 Days Later.
Yes. Two different films.
Very, very different. This is 28 days, and that's how long her stint was in
rehab.
Drug and alcohol rehab.
Yes. I don't know. I mean, I liked it just because it does give a little bit of a lighter stance with it, but I think it gave a really good look at basically the stages of like, I don't have a problem, not taking it seriously, to my life's a fucking wreck, and reevaluating like your relationships and kind of what they really are, all of which can be really, really difficult because like typically like once you start to get clean, there are very few people that you still can be around. You know, most of the people that you've surrounded yourself with are still like either using or still very toxic. And to stay clean, like you need to cut those people out, which typically leaves you feeling pretty lonely.
Yes. I also thought it was like a pretty good indication of the different types of people that you can see in rehab. So it's not just people that have issues with drugs and alcohol. I think there was also like sex addiction that was in there as well.
Yeah.
And it was like a more modern or like updated facility than what was represented in Girl Interrupted. So they have men and women in this facility, and they did bunk people up, like two people in a room or whatever, but
which is common.
Yeah. But they show the different ways that, like, they showed how they would do therapy, and they'd have like arts and crafts and stuff like that, and just the different chants and stuff that they would do. Because I think in a lot of different rehabs, like what they kind of emphasize is finding a higher power.
Yeah, a lot of places are like 12-step based. But currently, this movie was done like 20 years ago. So currently like 12 steps.
20 years ago.
I know.
So
don't dwell on it.
Okay.
Don't dwell. Come back.
Dwelling.
Come back to us. I was like, oh, she's gone. So I mean, 12 steps is still absolutely huge, and I think what's great about the 12 steps is you can apply it to really anything in your life. But currently, like you have Celebrate Recovery, Smart Recovery. There's a couple different like models now that you can use, but really, it's mainly about surrendering. You know, accepting help and kind of getting out of your own way.
Yeah.
Like, just get out of your own way and accept the help and maybe just relinquish that control, because clearly what you've been doing this long hasn't done you jack shit all good.
Yes. And I kind of liked the way that in this movie they showed, I thought they did do a good job of showing that Sandra Bullock's character, like where her traumas lies, like why she did turn to drugs and alcohol to cope with the past that she had.
Yeah.
And and you see her slowly start to realize that, okay, yeah, I do have a problem. I didn't quite realize what I had done to the people in my life. I didn't quite realize that what I was doing was not great, because she didn't remember ruining
blackout drunk.
Yeah. Like she didn't remember ruining her sister's wedding. And the toast that she gave as the maid of honor, which came out during a family session.
Yeah.
So there was like where the different patients would bring have their families come in, and they would kind of discuss why certain habits that they had hurt their loved ones and stuff like that. And
Yeah. And I thought, like, critics wise didn't really review this movie very well. There was a mix between, you know, you were making like too light out of it. We weren't really sure if this was supposed to be like a drama or a comedy. I think some people felt that they didn't portray like her addiction as, I don't want to say severe enough, but like real enough, which like I definitely argued a lot.
yeah, I mean, I think especially when she gets to that point where she throws the, is it the Percocets?
Vicodin.
Vicodin. She throws the Vicodin out the window, and when she gets to a point where she feels like
I made this like
she,
rewatching it. I was like, oh, you're gonna regret that later. We've all tried that.
yeah, like she starts climbing out the window to try to get this Vicodin, and then she ends up having like an air cast on her foot for the rest of the
her stay. Really,
Yeah.
yeah. I thought it was like, I don't know, like I said, for me personally, like I thought it was really good representation of showing like how serious her alcoholism was. Like she gets hammered with her boyfriend the night before, so she oversleeps, and she's made honor her sister's wedding for
Yeah.
whatever reason. Like burns her broth like the night before because it like just fell into a candle. Like
Yeah.
complete mess. Like wakes up late enough where she can't even take a shower.
Yeah.
And they have to take like 2 taxis, a freaking train, something else, and like
Yeah. And they're getting shit faced on the way there.
yeah, like in the cab,
Mm-hmm.
like the train car. So she like arrives already plastered.
Yeah.
So falls into the wedding cake, which was done. Like how many wedding cakes did they make for that? Like
I think 5 or 6.
Yeah.
And they didn't. The I guess whoever made the cakes did not tell the director that in the one cake there are 2 wooden posts to make the cake stay up, because it's, you know, it's the tiered wedding
they're
cake.
heavy.
And luckily the stunt person did not get hurt, but 2 wooden, essentially stakes, to make sure that the cake stays upright and everything. Luckily she did not get impaled.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Sandra Bullock's character, I think his Gwen. Is
Yeah.
Gwen? Yeah. So Gwen falls into the cake, and she and her boyfriend are like laughing hysterically. Everyone else is like, holy shit. She's like, I'll fix it, I'll fix it, I'll fix it. So she steals the limo and is drunkenly trying to find a cake, like a bakery, and then crashes into someone's house.
Yep. And despite all that, like there was still no, oh man, yeah, like I guess I messed up. Like not even, you don't even have to get to that point like, hey, I have a problem. Like you can still justify, oh, it was like one night.
Yeah.
There wasn't even like, oh, I messed up. It was like, this is ridiculous. I don't have a problem. I don't need to be in rehab, blah, blah, blah. Because they gave her the option of rehab or jail.
Yeah.
So she had to complete treatment. But I mean, I thought that was like leading up to that though, just like, it wasn't like she just got shit-faced at the wedding and fell into this cake. Like to show how bad she was the night before, the amount of stuff that they drank like on the way there. She did take like the Vicodin before she went out, like so she did take a pill or 2.
Yeah.
So it was just like leading up to that, and I just like that kind of like I'll fix it.
Yeah.
Like you could just tell like with the family and stuff how many times she's I'll fix it.
Yeah.
Like, but I don't know, man. I thought it was good. And then again, like when she was in the rehab, like her, you know, writing her boyfriend of like, I can't be in here. This is ridiculous. Like it would, you know, basically asking him. Well, she did bring drugs in with her, which they caught like when they were going through her stuff, and that's super common. But for him to like sneak more in, which he does, and just, you know, her like fighting tooth and nail to like address anything.
Mm-hmm. Which I think is like, I feel like that's pretty realistic, you know?
Depending on everyone, like where you're at, yeah, like, yeah, absolutely.
And especially the point, her counselor is Steve Buscemi's character. They put little signs around people's necks that say, confront me if I don't ask for help.
Yeah, along with like others, depending on like what your deal is.
Yeah, so she was the type that would never ask for help with anything, and Steve Buscemi's character realized that with her, so he was like, okay, you got to wear the sign everywhere.
Yeah.
And they have different like trust building exercises and like with the other patients, and that's all part of the, and she's like kind of fighting that along the way as well.
Yeah. So like the science and stuff that they wore was actual like therapy techniques that have been used in rehabs and stuff like that before.
Hmm.
Obviously, like group sharing and stuff like that is all stuff that you can expect. But when she finally like breaks down in group, she never typically shares, and they were pissed because she had basically left for like an afternoon with her
Hmm.
boyfriend when he came in to visit, got shit faced, and then came back, and they somehow still accepted her back. I don't
Yeah.
remember.
Well, I think that he was gonna send. He's like, hey, you kind of broke the terms of our agreement, so now I have to send you to jail.
Yeah.
And that's when she kind of realizes, holy shit, okay, like I can't go to jail. I don't like what I did. I don't think what I did. I deserve to be in jail for that.
Yeah. I think that's when she finally asked for help.
Yeah.
That was the first line. Like the next morning, she's like waiting out in front of the Steve Buscemi's office, and she's shaking, which I guess Sandra Bullock would take 3 shots of espresso anytime
Yeah.
she had to like show the shakes.
Yeah. No, thank you. I'd be like, all right, I quit acting.
Yeah.
Anything not to drink coffee.
I mean, I guess I would like if you're not, especially if you're not used to it.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh
I
my
guess
God.
she waits and she shows like I can't stop shaking, and I can't stand to be by myself. Like I can't stand the quiet,
Mhm.
and like there's something wrong with me, and I don't want to be like this anymore. And I think that's when he finally was like, okay, like she's finally asked for help. Like, but so the group members are pissed that she's back in group and not kicked out, which like I'd be fucking pissed too.
Yeah.
So I think that's when she finally cracks and was just like, I'm having the worst day of my whole goddamn life, and just leave me the fuck alone. Like, give me a fucking break. And everyone's like, yes.
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 Like, having like she actually like, hey, there's been a breakthrough. Yes. She's sharing. And they have different exercises that they have to do, like, different chores that they have to do throughout the facility.
Yeah.
And there's this one exercise that they have to do where they have to get a horse to trust them enough to let them lift up his hoof
Yeah.
to clean out his hoof and everything. And they show everyone struggling throughout the entire movie trying to do this, and they're just like, a horse can tell whether you're bullshitting or not.
Yeah.
They need to know that you're sincere in what you're going to do. And Sandra Bullock is actually like allergic to horses. So I can only imagine how all those scenes were for her. It was probably not great, but Viggo Mortensen was probably in his element.
Yeah.
Because he ended up taking, because he was in that movie Hidalgo.
Yeah.
He bought that horse. Pretty sure he got the horses, or one of the horses, from Lord of the Rings.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
He's a horse guy.
Clearly.
Mhm.
Like, jeez.
And like, you fully expect his character and Sandra Bullock's character to get together.
And there's definitely chemistry there. But
Yeah. But I kind of liked that they didn't have them get together, which I
Yeah.
think is much more realistic. Plus, that's also like, can't fraternize with anyone else in
oh god, I have
the
this all the
facility.
time.
It has to happen.
Oh,
it
all the
does.
time.
It's
Which-
not. It's a no-no, but
Typically, like every rehab is structured differently. But typically you have like either a floor just for floor just for women, or a wing just for women, one just for men. So like at night and stuff, like you can't just go to the room next door or whatever.
yeah.
So like and sometimes like you don't even share common areas with the opposite gender.
Mhm.
So that one was kind of like, and it happens, like that rehab that they were showing was actually filmed in a local YMCA, which is a fucking fancy YMCA.
Yeah, and they were actually, it was still open and functioning while they were filming, so they were still like YMCAing in the background.
But there's like the one guy, which I think was like one of the sex addicts, was every time she went to go use the elevator, it
Yeah,
was just him and some other chick like screwing.
and like throughout the entire movie, he's like trying to get in her pants.
Yeah.
And it's just ridiculous. But I guess in certain rehabs, the sex addicts would use the handicap elevator, thinking that there's no way we'll get caught here. And it's like, yes, you will. The silly addicts.
But I liked at the end though, like you said, obviously she realizes like, hey, I need to get my shit together. And I think it was like the second or third time, like her boyfriend comes to go visit her. They go out in like the lake. He tries to propose and bring shit, and she's like, no. Like,
Yeah.
this is ridiculous. Like, no, this is dumb. This is ridiculous. Like, you understand that, like, we
Mhm.
can't live the life that we used to. And she tries to, like, go out to dinner with him to, like, again, have that serious conversation of, like, listen, like, now that I'm out, things need to change. Like, I'm really not that same type of person. And he just, like, doesn't get it,
Yeah.
like, at all. And so she leaves the restaurant and he's like, they're arguing, chasing her out of, like, what's going on. Like, I'll change whatever. And she sees, like, the police horse there and
Mhm.
just is so frustrated. And was just like, I need a sign, like, I need something. And goes down and lifts up the hoof, which, of course, he's like, why is this?
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Because she's like kind of talking to herself about what she has to do to concentrate on getting this horse to like trust her enough to let her lift his hoof. And her boyfriend is just like, what in the fuck is going on? And she takes that as like, okay, I can do this. I can do this. I'll be okay. But yeah, I think it was a nice way to kind of wrap it up
Yeah.
and know that like she's strong enough now on her own. She can be okay by herself, and she and her sister finally reconciled as well because their family session didn't go so well.
No. Yeah. I think it was like it, because they do flashbacks like every time that she has like struggles really bad, like in treatment, of their mom being like a blackout drunk, like terrible mother. Basically, they ended up finding her dead. She like drank herself to death.
Yeah.
But you could kind of tell, like, which is very common, like you either, kind of struggle with addiction yourself or kind of fall down like a similar path, or you do the complete opposite where like you're such a control freak and like you're such a hard ass and that kind of stuff, and everything has to be like kind of perfect, which is what her sister ended up being like,
Yeah.
but it was, yeah. So they kind of like, they reconcile that. I think her sister finally accepts that like she's taking it seriously and,
Yeah. And that was like the scene where they finally reconciled. That's where I teared up. Where, because like after, pretty sure it's after Gwen ruins the wedding cake that her sister said, like, you make it impossible to love you.
yeah.
So I think it's a very harsh thing to say to someone.
Yeah.
And I know she was probably saying it in anger and all that kind of stuff, but still very harsh. And after their family session doesn't go well, there's one point where Gwen calls her, I think after the fact, saying like, I need you.
Yeah, it was when I think she was, I think trying to not climb out her freaking window to
Yeah.
get the Vicodin she had thrown out, and I don't know, it's a couple other things happened.
Mm-hmm. But Gwen is sitting out by the lake, and I think it's around the time that she's about to be released.
Yeah.
And her sister comes and visits, and it was after Azura Sky's character committed suicide.
That's why she called.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which I thought was super depressing. That character was having a rough time. She had gone to rehab a couple times.
Yeah.
And she was also very young. I think heroin was her thing.
Yeah.
And she's done her time, and then she's about to be released, and she's like upset. She's like very agitated. She's trying not to get attached to anyone.
I think she was trying to leave early too.
Well, she was packing up early.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
she had no family visitor though.
Yeah, she was like upset that no one came to visit for the family session. And then someone sends her like a kind of like a sock monkey type stuffed animal, and in that was someone smuggled heroin to her.
Yeah.
And then she ends up ODing, unfortunately. And so after that, Gwen calls her sister. Gwen's out in the lake, very upset, obviously. And she and her sister finally reconcile, and they're both kind of like breaking down. And then her sister says to her, like, oh no, Gwen's like, I'm sorry that I make it impossible to love me.
Yeah.
She's like, you make it impossible for me not to love you. And I was like, I cried. I'm not proud to admit it.
Oh.
But yeah, I had the feels. Stupid. Let's move on.
I don't know. Like I said, I mean, that's why I was actually really surprised that it wasn't that well received by critics. Like I said, I mean, I think it did a relatively good job. If you're not going to try to get as serious as other movies do and really dark into it. Like I thought it was like a good medium to bring up like just the whole process
Yeah,
of
like
like
I don't think
just
it did a
her going through
disservice.
treatment. No.
I don't think it did a disservice to rehab and recovery or anything like that. And I don't think every movie about that topic has to be as dark as, you know, Requiem for a Dream. But I think you can, like, I think with Requiem for a Dream, it's kind of like very, very harsh reality of being in the throes of addiction, but
Yeah.
not
Seeking
what
help.
recovery is for.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and then 28 Days is on the other side of it. Like, yeah, you didn't see all of the shit that she's gone through while she's been fucked up. You saw a little glimpse of it, yeah, but this is
I think
on the other
you
side of it.
got like a strong enough idea.
Yeah,
I mean, she worked a fucking limo through her house.
which I think is like when you if you really, really think about if you know someone or heard about someone that they got so fucked up that they trashed someone's wedding, like their sister's wedding, and then drove a limo into someone's house, you'd be like, wow,
Wow.
that person has a problem.
Yeah. There's no question about it. Like,
Yeah. And like I think just because it's Sandra Bullock, they were like, well, no one can take this seriously.
yeah.
But I don't think I thought she did a good job.
No, I thought she did a great job. I really do. You know, it sounds like she tried to prep for it as best as she could, you know, to make sure like she was portraying it and the whole recovery thing, the process of it, you know, well. And I don't know. I mean, I thought they did a good job with it. I thought they did a good job with, like I said, her recognizing why she needed help and just the way that she was like, you know, I can't be by myself and I can't be in silence. Like I can't be in silence 'cause I can't shut my brain down. Like it's just so loud. I just can't. And like that hit home. Like a couple of the things that she said and what she was experiencing like hit home for me. You know, because it was pretty accurate to what someone was like experience with it. But then I think she got a good idea of actually experiencing addiction as a whole. Because you know that girl who ended up overdosing, like they were roommates. And when she was trying to get her to be like, you know, yeah, like you're completing treatment, like why are you packing early? Like this is great. Not understanding like why she wasn't too happy about it. And the girl could just kind of like, you know what, like when you want to try to complete or leave early like 13 different rehabs and overdose amount of times to the point where like your family doesn't come see you and like nobody gives a shit about you, like then come talk to me about this. Like
Yeah.
this isn't easy. And unfortunately, you know, ended up killing her. And I think that was kind of like a harsh smack in the face for Gwen's character that like, yeah, recovery is possible and I have a ton of support, but like this shit can be really silly. Like you don't always go through treatment once and get it.
Yeah.
You know,
It's a lot of work, and it's not like you do your 28, 30 days and you're done. It's a lifelong journey.
yeah.
It's a lifelong struggle. Once you're in recovery, you're never out of recovery.
Nope.
And I think that's some people might think, I don't know for sure, that rehab might just be like a quick and easy fix. They'll realize that
It takes change. Like you literally have to change everything, which is why it is very hard for people to ask for help because it's embarrassing and it's shameful and you don't want to sit there and talk about some of the shit that you've done and relive that. But you know, you can't go it alone. Like
Yeah.
you have to have supports. You just have to. It is, but there's nothing wrong with that, you know, like, so I mean, I thoroughly enjoyed the movie. I thoroughly enjoyed, you know, the conversations that they had for people when they were leaving. Again, like you said, making sure like you do, like if meetings are your thing and you want to do 12 steps, you know, make sure that you get a sponsor, you do 90 and 90, like you keep up on it. And the stuff that we talked about, like for your stuff personally, like you need to follow through with it. And I loved, was it Alan?
Oh, Alan Gerhardt?
Yeah. I loved his character. He's like, poor guy is basically just like, not overly concerned, but pretty concerned of like, he's serious about it. And you could tell like he wants to like keep doing the right thing once he's
he wants to do it right.
So he's kind of like trying to beat around the bush of like, when can I fuck again? Like, when can I be in a relationship?
Yeah.
And Steve Buscemi's character is like, listen, like my rule of thumb is once you're gone, get a plant. And after the first year that plant's still alive, get a pet. And after that year, if the pet's still alive, like then you're ready to be able to date. And you could just see like the just pain in his face.
Yeah, he's like, okay, I'll do it, but I know what I have to do, but I don't know if I have the strength to do it. One of those things.
So like they don't really get. I mean, I'm assuming it would probably be then like 2 years later.
Yeah, they didn't do
based
like
off of that.
they didn't do a strict 2 years later.
So, but you could it's just Sandra Bullock's character just, kind of chilling downtown, walking around or whatever.
Mhm.
She goes into a plant shop and she can just hear him like arguing with the plant shop, like, you gave me a defective plant, like I've talked to it, I sang to it, I've read to it, I've done everything. He was like, did you water it? You gave me a defective plant.
Yeah, just like, I don't think that you realize, like, I think you're just trying to deny the fact that you gave me a bad plant, defective. And he's got like the dead fern or whatever the fuck it was, spider plant in one hand, and then he's got this sad English bulldog on the end of the leash on the other. And Gerhardt sees Gwen and they hug and whatever. He's just like, he's so sad. She's like, oh, well, the dog's still alive. He's like, I don't even think he likes me.
But I love, though, just again, like, he's still taking it seriously. He's still trying. And just like when he saw her in that moment where he was really struggling because he was taking this plant so seriously that, like, oh my gosh, I let this one thing die. Like, I can't move on with anything. Like, just the relief of seeing a familiar face.
Yeah.
Of like going through something like that with. And I'm just like, what are you doing here? And just, he was just a crier. Like, it was just super emotional. Like, just breaking down. It was so cute.
And his fork monologue.
Yeah.
Improvised by Alan, which I think is amazing.
Yes.
There's a little, a stream fork. Oh God. But I do like the way that they portrayed different people going through rehab and how they dealt with that. And then if they were released, like there was the one doctor that ended up coming back.
Yeah.
He had lost his license because I think he was using drugs, but was he also having relations with his patients?
I honestly don't remember.
But I think he would use drugs, and so he ended up coming back. And he was always a cantankerous kind of guy.
Yeah.
Like he would like yell at everyone, and he was always like being mad at Gwen for whatever reason. And when he came back, they kind of were like, she's like, "Hey, I need your help with something." And when they were getting ready for Azura Sky's, her character's release, they put together a little skit based off of her favorite soap opera.
Yeah.
And we kind of were hopeful that was going to like help her feel like a little bit better about being released, because she had been released so many times, and they would always sing, what was it?
They would always basically
Was it Lean on Me?
Yeah.
They would sing Lean on Me when you're leaving. And she did that, and it was really, really nice. And then when Sandra Bullock's character left, they did the Jeremiah Was a Bullfrog, that song.
Yeah.
Jeremiah was a bullfrog. And I thought it was cute.
It was cute.
But I too liked this movie. I thought it was a nice little not happy, but like you didn't want to kill yourself after watching it, which is not like how you felt after Requiem for a Dream.
Yeah. So I feel like you have two options that we have presented to you anyway. If you really want to get into the thick of it and immerse yourself and, again, go through an emotional roller coaster and probably be super depressed after, you can watch Requiem for a Dream. If you want just a very quick snapshot of like the end tale of addiction and recovery, watch 28 Days.
Not 28 Days Later. That is for zombies.
Yes.
And Cillian Murphy. Oh.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so we have one more movie that we're going to be doing to round out our month of mental health awareness and addiction and recovery. And that will be determined by you, lovely viewers and listeners, because we don't math well. We can't count. Apparently, we didn't realize that there are 5 Wednesdays in this month of September.
I mean, it's not like a normal occurrence.
No, 2020 keeps coming at us.
I
with
just happened,
surprises.
thankfully at work, was looking at my big desk calendar and was like,
You-
1, 2, 3, fuck!
God damn it! So, there's going to be a poll up on Facebook. I think at the time of this airing, it might already be done.
If Facebook wants to cooperate.
Yes. It might not, though. So, check our Facebook to see if the poll is still there, and if it gives us more than 2 options. But if there are any suggestions from you guys, let us know. But we're going to have resources for mental health and addiction recovery linked in a description box down below, as well as our fun social medias will also be linked. But yes, lovely.
Lovely.
Until next time, if you like our vibe, please like and subscribe, and we'll see you in our next episode. Bye-bye.